There's some things the mainstream media and government aren't really telling y'all about East Palestine and the whole mess out there. For those of you who don't know or just need a quick recap on everything that happened in East Palestine, Ohio, it happened about a month ago where a train derailed and a bunch of chemicals spilled out, one of them being extremely hazardous. It's the largest derailment or train mess that there's been for quite a minute. It's actually the largest as far as I'm aware of. There was over 20 large train cars that were a part of this whole issue that contained chemicals. Sorry, let me correct myself. 10 to 20, roughly. I've heard numbers back and forth. Again, one of those being extremely poisonous and containing vinyl chloride, which is extremely flammable. And if it hits its boiling point of just 7.9 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll explode for days, by the way. We'll go into details roughly on how much exactly was in the containers later. Many people have been calling this the US Chernobyl event, and a lot of residents have been scared to return back home. A lot of residents were advised to leave too, and honestly, with these chemicals, you can't even boil them out because they are chemicals. They're not like, bacteria or protozoa or anything like that. They can't just simply purify the water. Not to mention the fact of how food sources were damaged and even air quality was too. Not to mention all the wildlife dying by the crash site or along the Ohio River, plus other bodies of water connected to it, like the Mississippi River. The animals were just getting sick or plopping over and dying around these bodies of water or anywhere around East Palestine, including pets. Meanwhile, the mainstream media has been just downplaying this stuff and glorifying the fact that we were controlled burning it, not really mentioning what bad things or hazardous side effects could become of that. Oh, we just had a controlled burning or a controlled explosion. It's not like, a bunch of wildlife is plopping over dying or anything. That's not going to have effect on anybody around. No, not one bit. It's actually A-okay. And, we all could just go there and have a little vacation. It'd be perfectly grand and nobody'd be likely to get sick. Not at all. But before we get more into this, though, cue intro. Now, all this wasn't getting reported on even until 3 weeks after it happened, which it happened on February 3rd, and big media and the mainstream didn't even start reporting on it until just this past Thursday. But China/foreign media like Al Jazeera was reporting on this quite a bit of time prior to the US mainstream getting any sort of freaking coverage on it. Even independent journalists were getting on this before they did. And that's kind of sad. Now, all the stuff that happened potentially could have caused so much damage that they don't even know how long it'll be until it's entirely safe, if it ever is again. Especially the food/water. Even the air is contaminated because the freaking chemical bonded with the freaking air molecules. Also, it's probably pretty likely that we won't know the full extent of the damage that was done to the people/ecosystem for quite a while, arguably even the next couple of decades, when many of the people affected or the general public have probably forgotten about it. When can we have the files or the knowledge on the full extent of what happened here in Ohio? In the next 50 years or so, kind of, like the JFK files. Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I won't forget about it at all in the next 50 plus years when I'm about like 60 or 70. That won't happen one bit. 50 years later. Wait, what was that thing I was supposed to remember that happened in Ohio 50 plus years ago? Oh, fuck it. Oh, is that blood? Now, while this was going on, all the US mainstream news could talk about were fucking UFO balloons from China and the Super Bowl. You know what else the mainstream media can't shut up about? The fact that you guys haven't smashed that like button or pounded the shit out of that subscribe button yet. I think it's really messed up you guys haven't done that yet. All joking aside though, it really does help us out here on this channel. It also helps us to get further up in that algorithm so we can get this information out to more people and let them know it's okay to think independently of these systems and to just be human and question things. With all joking aside though, let's go and hop right back on into the video. While social media was talking quite a bit about it, was trending under US Chernobyl on Twitter. Now, this train was on fire or like sparking significantly for over 20 miles before it derailed, according to redacted sources. Oh, the train was only on fire or sparking heavily for 20 miles. That's nothing to worry about at all with a train car that has over 100 plus train cars on it. No, not one bit. That's just A-okay. This whole freaking mess wouldn't have happened if the train company had these trains and the railroads up to date on safety. The train cars weren't, by the way. Now let's check out the security footage caught on camera from Salem, Ohio, which is just 20 miles away from where the train derailed at.
Equipment manufacturing plant in Salem, Ohio, some 20 miles from East Palestine. You can see what appear to be sparks or flames under one of the cars as it passes the plant.
Now, it wasn't the derailment that caused this explosion, by the way, or at least the bigger one. It was actually the company called Norfolk Southern. Again, they didn't have the equipment up to standards on safety codes like they were supposed to. They told the residents of East Palestine the weekend after all this happened that they'd be doing a controlled explosion. Huh. Seems like it had a lot of death/sickness for being something that was controlled, doesn't it?
So you're literally right where the crash happened. Can you tell us what you're seeing, and we'll talk about what the people are saying in the town as well?
Sure. So right behind me here, you can actually see a lot of the remnants of the explosion that happened here 10 days ago. There is still a lot of work in progress. You've got Norfolk Southern has a huge recovery operation here. Mainly, it seems, according to the people, because they just want their tracks reopened. And, you know, that makes a lot of sense. What we're not seeing is a large response from the federal government. I have not seen anybody with the EPA or any other of the alphabet soup agencies here on the ground, you know, where you'll see that there's an actual intersection, and it actually happened right there. That is where the train car exploded. She basically expressed the fact that the town has just been totally upended here. It's a small town. This is the epitome of small town America right here. This is the biggest shakeup they've ever had. Those were her words. People don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. They feel like they've just been abandoned here by the federal government, and they feel like they're about to get screwed because they don't trust their water sources anymore. They don't trust their own gardens anymore. One of the ladies I talked to said that she wasn't ever going to plant anything in her garden ever again, and felt like she needed to move her kids and her grandkids out of the town. Locations here, because as you've seen with so many other, like Monsanto, that lawsuit there, it took years and years and years, and it was really difficult for them to prove, and a lot of people never even got paid out. The lady that I spoke to right over here that owned that property compared it. She said, "This is our Camp Lejeune." And that is, it's probably very true. I mean, they think that this is going to be totally covered up since the governor did that press conference here at one time. You know, Mike DeWine did his rounds to,
right,
make it look good, soften the blow or whatever. And then after that, just radio silence from everybody. They're getting no support here at all. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the media aren't, they're not here. They're not here. I'm the only one around here by myself. I haven't seen a single camera anywhere.
It's really unbelievable.
There you have it. Residents are scared. They don't even know if they should come back, and they're kind of terrified to. Reasonably so. Paint a picture of how serious this is even more. Here's a list of all the chemicals that were in those train cars. Now, this was made by the EPA, by the way. The materials in the train cars: vinyl chloride, ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylexyl acrylate, isobutylene, and butyl acrylate. Now, they couldn't contain this entirely neither, no matter how much the mainstream media, the government, Norfolk, etc. might make it seem like they did. The air quality was so bad within a 5-mile radius, even 2.5 to 3 weeks after this controlled burn and derailment happened, that within an hour, people were having sore throats and their eyes watering. That was according to that reporter Nick. He was saying that he had it for at least an hour. And he also brought up the fact of the matter that people are just probably going to get used to it after a while. And at that point, eventually the toxicity in the air would be perceived as normal. That's not good. People eventually won't even know that it's there, and that can really damage them and their health in the long run. Do things like cause birth defects, miscarriages, cancer, etc. This is like all the stuff you hear from the pills and everything, and their huge side effects 20 years down the line on the little freaking claims commercials they have for class action settlements on the general public television or free TV at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Here's a map of the Ohio River and all the other ones connected to it. It kind of shows you how easy it is for this stuff to spread. Many livestock farms were reporting dead livestock / farm animals too along the Ohio River, Mississippi, and around East Palestine. Now, here are some tweets from one hazard and emergency response tech. Let's review the guide. We see the immediate evacuation precautions that should be taken. A reverse 911 that calls all citizens in the evacuation area should be initiated. I'm also concerned that this material may be explosive when mixed with air. It also says it may form explosive mixtures with air. So it could explode just from simply mixing with the air. Fucking crazy. As we start to then dive deeper into the science of the material vinyl chloride, we find that it's highly volatile and has a boiling point of 7.9 degrees Fahrenheit. If one of the tanks is damaged, we have a disaster on our hands. We have a ticking bomb sitting on the ground. We are at risk of a catastrophic bleed, also known as boiling liquid vapor explosion. I'm unfamiliar with the quantity of material, but if exploded, it could destroy the city. Let's not forget the boiling point is 7.9 degrees Fahrenheit. A decision was made to allow a controlled burn of the pressure release values to minimize the potential of a bleed. At this point of the response, the options were limited, and we haven't even begun to discuss its impact with other chemicals in other containers. I feel like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that if there's 100 train cars in a derailment with highly hazardous chemicals and ones that are kind of explosive, that it could take out a whole entire fucking city. Like, that was a legitimate possibility there. It would essentially be like a smaller version of a nuke. It would just completely wipe the city, and it would contaminate the surrounding area and poison living things, the ecosystem, the people, etc. Now, mind you, it's not going to be the exact same potency or devastation of a nuke by any means, but the same base side effects are going to be there. Now, let's look at the chemical vinyl chloride and the effects it has. Now, this is all according to a chemist by the name of Nick Drom.
Norfolk Southern has a rail line that goes right through town, and this derailment happened right on the edge outside of town on the border of PA and Ohio. Of the cars that crashed, 5 of them contained vinyl chloride. It's a monomer used to make PVC. The reporting on this has gotten vinyl chloride confused with polyvinyl chloride, the polymer made out of vinyl chloride. Now, the reason that this distinction is really important is vinyl chloride is very hazardous and very flammable. Polyvinyl chloride is a plastic that's used in like everything. Another thing about vinyl chloride is that it boils at 8 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's shipped in its liquid form. Meaning that when these trains crashed and these started leaking, they weren't just leaking liquid, but they were spewing boiling gas. So vinyl chloride is really toxic. OSHA has the permissible limit of how much you can be exposed to it during an 8-hour shift as a 1 ppm part per million. Average over 8 hours. So prior to this, the biggest spill of this chemical was in New Jersey, where one train car and about 23,000 gallons of vinyl chloride were spilled, but it didn't catch on fire. Now, this crash in Ohio has 5 train cars. These kinds of tanker cars can carry between 25 and 33,000 gallons. Let's call it 250 to 250,000 pounds of vinyl chloride. That's per train car, 5 train cars. There's maybe 1 million pounds of this toxic chemical spilling into the ground and also boiling off into the air. But then it caught on fire. I think this is where the reporting is really bad because no one is mentioning what the byproduct of vinyl chloride burning is. Of the many byproducts of burning vinyl chloride, one of them is hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen chloride is really unstable and latches onto water, like just water vapor in the atmosphere, and that turns into hydrochloric acid. So right now, government officials from the railroad, both the governor of Pennsylvania and Ohio are calling burning off the 1 million pounds of this stuff a success, but not mentioning that it means that we have hundreds of thousands of pounds of acid in the air, potentially. Now, ever since engineering school, I've studied a lot of industrial accidents. I just find it really fascinating, and organizations like the Chemical Safety Board, NTSB, and OSHA all have like really good reports available to the public. I think as a designer, it's really good to learn about mistakes. When looking at these kinds of industrial disasters across time, there are a couple things that are pretty universal across all of them. One, the responsible party, in this case, Norfolk Southern Railway, always plays down the reality of the situation. Politicians also just repeat the same lines, and then news outlets just repeat the same. So all we're hearing is the responsible party's word.
There you have it, dude. There was over thousands upon thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, or even more, pounds of this dangerous chemical. Definitely enough to wipe out a whole entire fucking city. Now, Nick even mentioned how dangerous it was and how poisonous it is. Not to mention the fact of how things weren't really properly handled and his deep concern about the side effects of everything going on and how it wasn't really portrayed as like seriously as it should have been. Like the side effects can sit there and freaking spread out to a lot of places because it bonds to like water. It bonds to water molecules, man, and that can all get swept up from the bodies of water around that area, go into like the sky, and when it starts to rain and clouds start to condense, you literally have acid rain and it's going to spread out everywhere. That can go a couple of states over too and cause secondary side effects in addition to the main ones, affecting people even farther away and harming them.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit that they burn off, the fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine. This is not fucking storm clouds. Look at it. This is over Darlington. This is their fucking success. That ain't no fucking storm cloud. That's the fucking shit from East Palestine. They're fucking controlled burn.
Now, it doesn't really seem like so much of a good success now, does it? Even just in the past 24 hours, I saw videos from people that are in Ohio of acid rain coming down and looking like snow or particles in just the air itself. And in all the clips that showed acid rain, it looked like a snow mix, and it was foamy whenever it hit the ground. It was just rain hitting the ground. It was like a foamy substance. It wasn't external. It was literally just from the rain. I suggest you guys go out there and look at some of this stuff because the mainstream media isn't portraying it well enough to my knowledge. And like, it's crazy the fact of the matter, oh, it's okay, it's under control and all that. Well, there's all this crap going on now, dude. How does that really seem like it's under control? And I feel like it's pretty likely that many people aren't going to get the adequate amount of help that they need in time. Not to mention the fact of the matter, it's going to affect quite a bit of people potentially and harm them. They're just gonna be suffering while this happens, and it all could have just been avoided if, you know, Norfolk Southern just would have sat there and fucking did their job instead of trying to make more money and make a buttload of it, and just prioritize safety regulations like they should. Yet again, another reason why me and so many others have such a hard time trusting the government and all these big businesses of the world. Now, I'm obviously gonna say and not think that all of them are like that, but it makes it pretty hard for people to sit there and be able to trust a lot of these big businesses and a lot of government bodies, simply because this crap happens so much, and it shouldn't. We're so far evolved that it just should not be a thing as much anymore. But that's enough about what I think. What do you guys think? My adoring tribe members, new viewers, etc. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, if you guys did make it to the end of this video, go and leave the word Palestine in the comment section down below to let me know that you made it to the end and that you guys are part of the 100% club. As usual, if you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and give us a like and smash the shit out of that subscribe button. When you guys do this, it really does help us out, and also helps to get this information out to more people that the mainstream media isn't covering, or the government is just not going to tell you for various reasons. It also helps to let other people know that it's okay to think independently of these systems that we live in and to just be human. But do you guys want a more interactive experience with this? You want to see things like me raging for people being stupid, or talk more about conspiracies like this in person? Well, then come join us live on streams every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Central Time. Talk about stuff like this, play some Pokemon Unite and or other games, and just vibe out and have a good time and a sense of community. Speaking of community, join our Discord tribe, where we have movie/weeb night every other Friday. Watch things like documentaries on how Hitler didn't kill himself, conspiracies like this stuff with actual valid facts. The documentary even has details from the CIA and FBI investigations which actually prove it. And it's also backed by the History Channel too, which got the go-ahead to look through CIA and FBI records. And we also share dark humor memes, philosophical discussions, spiritual ones, etc. You also get updates on streams or videos, etc., in addition to, you know, just being able to chat it up with me. Either way, we'd always love to have more tribe members in these platforms, especially on the Discord, because the more the merrier, you know? But until next time though, my dudes, please don't forget to live long and prosper, take care and peace, keep it 1,000,000% real, and remember, fuck the system. I will see you guys on the flip side. You!